a public hearing calendar. We have a decision, and then we have administrative calendar. Okay? So we will begin by last Councilman Gary Hughes, who leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Supervisor Santino.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Call the first item, please.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Baldwin, Belmore, Elmont, and Merrick.
Okay. Is there anyone here who would like to be heard on this item? Being none, accept the motion, please.
I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law adopted. Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Majority.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Baldwin, Merrick, Roosevelt, and Woodmere.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Inwood.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? Being none, accept the motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law adopted.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Lido Beach and Oceanside.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? And there being none, I will accept the motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding loading zones in Baldwin.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? Being none, accept the motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Determining parcels benefited by construction or reconstruction of sidewalks in various towns in town of Hempstead.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter before the town board? Being none, accept the motion, please.
I move the public hearing be closed and the reconstruction approved.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Call the next item, please.
Proposed amendment of section 336.G.3 of Article 33 of the Building Zone Ordinance in relation to prohibiting coin-operated or other fee-based air compressors at gasoline service stations located in the gasoline service station district in town of Hempstead.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
on behalf of the town attorney's office, I move that this matter be adjourned for 2 weeks to the March 7th calendar.
Could I have a member of the board make that motion, please?
I'd like to move this 2 weeks.
Adjourn.
Adjourn 2 weeks.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
So we do have a member of the audience who wants to speak on it, Mr. Prakash. Name and address for the record, please.
Being
appeal to Procop Street, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square, New York. First question is, why is this being adjourned?
Two reasons. Number one, subject of litigation. And number two, we're going to meet with some of the people involved.
Okay. On the adjournment, I asked that the adjournment be done indefinitely, that you don't even give a date, and the reason is because this law, I believe, is illegal under town zoning law. You're not allowed to regulate prices under zoning law, among the number of things I've mentioned previously that are mentioned also in the lawsuit. So I asked that instead of setting the date for this hearing to March 8th, that you set it, you really adjourn it indefinitely with no date. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, so we have a motion that, when we call the roll again, we have a motion and a second to adjourn this matter, this public hearing for 2 weeks. So we just call the roll again.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Next item, please.
Application of Signature Auto Repair Inc. and Forever Realty LLC for special acceptance public garage to permit operation of an automobile repair shop in Elmont.
Good morning, Mr. Albertine.
Good morning, Supervisor Santino, members of the board. Here before the applicants, Howard Avertine, 575 Underhill Boulevard, Syosset. This is the application of Signature Auto Repair Incorporated and Forever Realty LLC for a special exception in order to permit operation of an auto repair shop. I would like to state at the outset that this is an application solely for auto repairs. There will be no body work, no painting, but strictly auto repairs at this shop. The premises under application is located at the northeast corner of Hempstead Turnpike and Clinton Street in Elmont. It has a frontage of 104 feet on Hempstead Turnpike and a frontage of 101.88 feet on Clinton Street. It has a street address of 1278 Hempstead Turnpike. It's also known as Section 33, Block 368, Lots 20 through 24 on the Nassau County Land Tax Map. Petitioner Forever Realty LLC is the owner of the property. That entity took title by virtue of a tax deed issued by Nassau County in 2013. Petitioner's Signature Auto Repair Incorporated is the tenant pursuant to a lease with the owner, which was executed in early 2016. And they are also the operator of the facility. The premises is zoned HT-E HB overlay district with an underlying business district designation. The premises is improved with a one-story block building. It was approved for use as a gasoline service station in 1961 pursuant to Town Board Resolution number 1100-1961 and building permit number 6106884. The premises was utilized for many years as a gasoline service station, most recently as a PETRO service station. In 2011, a failure of one of the gasoline storage tanks was discovered. The owner at that time took no steps to address or remediate the problem. As a result, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation took over the remediation process, which is still ongoing. The contractor retained by the Department of Environmental Conservation for that purpose has a trailer on the property, which I'm sure the inspection report indicates, and which may be available, visible from some photographs that are in the file. They also have other equipment in connection with the remediation, which is located on the northwest portion of the premises. Just to emphasize all of this activity, the gasoline leak and the DEC involvement took place prior to the current owner acquiring title to the property in 2013. And obviously, that owner had nothing to do with any of that. By this application, the applicant seeks a special exception from the town board to utilize the premises as an automobile repair shop in accordance with the plans which have been submitted to the board. In the event the board approves this application, the applicant will require variances from the Board of Appeals as well. The variances that are required from the Board of Appeals are a waiver of off-street parking requirements, permission to park in the front yard setback on Clinton Street, a side yard setback, variance to maintain additions which are located to the rear of the existing building, and a front yard variance to maintain the existing canopy at the premises. The plans were submitted to the HTE Design Review Board on July 5th of 2016. That board found the plans to be in compliance with the applicable criteria so that the town board and Board of Appeal processes could continue. The shop has hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, and is closed on Sunday. There are a total of 3 employees at the shop. The shop maintains private carting of refuse. I have a copy of a letter that I'd like to submit for the record. It's dated February 17 of 2017 from Eagle Sanitation Incorporated, indicating that this entity located in Woodbury provides refuse removal from the property in connection with use. In addition, I have a letter also dated February 17 of 2017 from an entity called LORCO, L-O-R-C-O, Petroleum Services, indicating that this entity located in Elizabeth, New Jersey, collects waste oil and antifreeze from the premises, and the letter states that all such waste oil and antifreeze is processed and recycled in compliance with all state and federal regulations. I'd like to submit that letter for the record as well. Lastly, I have a letter from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation dated February 14, 2017. I know the inspection report that was issued references various permits that the building department indicates are required in connection with the gasoline tanks that were removed from the property. It was the Department of Environmental Conservation that removed those tanks. And as you see in this letter, it was their position that since it was a state entity operating to initiate the cleanup and to take whatever action it deems necessary, that it is exempt from the requirement of town permits for any of that work, which would also include removal of the tanks, which they performed in 2014. So a copy of that letter as well.
So, Mr. Albertine, let me just understand. So the tanks have been removed. The DEC now is involved in the remediation?
That's correct.
Who's responsible for the remediation? Has that been decided?
Well, I believe, according to the DEC, and I spoke to the person who's involved with this, they indicated that there is a proceeding against the prior owner that they're trying to follow up with. What happened was, apparently, when the leak originally occurred in 2011, they contacted the owner of the premises at that time, who was totally unresponsive to their inquiries. So what they did is they stepped in, they took over the entire process, obviously using state funds, taxpayer dollars, to take care of what needs to be taken care of at the site. At the same time, through the Attorney General's office, they initiated a regulatory collection proceeding which what I advised is ongoing. But that would be regarding the prior owner, who I would surmise is not in good financial condition since the property was lost due to the failure to pay real estate taxes, and the current owner obtained title to the property by buying a tax lien for the premises.
So the applicant, your client, has never operated a gasoline station?
That's correct.
It's not sold or distributed any petroleum products
No,
other than the oil they used to repair?
that's correct. No, they had nothing to do with the owner of the property, Forever Realty, as I indicated, took title in 2013. The remediation by the DEC started in 2011 after the tank leak situation was identified.
Is the applicant the owner of the land or the tenant?
I'm sorry?
Is the applicant before us the owner of the land or the tenant?
Both. We have two applicants, Forever Realty and Signature Oil. They were co-applicants in this application.
Okay, so there's an entity that owns the real estate and there's an entity that's going to operate the repair shop.
That's correct, Mr. White.
And you're not going to sell any more petroleum products at that site?
Well, we're not selling gasoline, certainly.
Yeah, I mean,
The tanks have been removed, so there's no plan to sell gasoline, and they're not going to be selling gasoline. They will not be selling oil at retail. You can't go in there and buy oil.
They'll do an oil change.
And they'll do antifreeze work and that type of thing. And as I indicated, the waste will be removed in accordance with the licensed entity that will come and take care of that.
Thank you.
My clients are very sensitive to these environmental issues, especially the operator, and operate fully in accordance with all requirements. Thank you. Unless the board has any further questions at this time, I would like to call Barry Nelson.
Are there any other members of the board who have
A couple of questions. Number one, I noticed in the photos, you have a number of barrels and drums. Are those associated with the DEC, or are some belong to the DEC and some belong to the tenant?
There are the waste oil from the oil changes is kept in barrels which are located on the easterly side of the building and removed by the company. I explained to the operator that those barrels cannot be kept outside, but they have to be kept inside. He was unaware of that, and that will be taken care of.
Okay. Also, that the operator understands that unregistered vehicles are a no-no.
Let me explain that to you. The operator has a sister business right down the road, actually, in Franklin Square. It is a used car facility, and that entity that he operates purchases used cars from auctions. Those cars oftentimes require repairs before they can be marketed. So what he does is he brings them to his shop, he repairs them, and then he brings them back to the used car facility to offer them for sale. So they are not registered because they were purchased on the wholesale market. He does that work for himself, but he also does quote-unquote retail auto repair for anyone who just wants to have their car fixed or have a state inspection or do an oil change at his shop. But he does also have this facet of his business, which is the repairs for his used car sales.
I think that aspect of it might have to be reviewed by the building department as far as questions to unregistered vehicles. I know that there are issues with unregistered vehicles on both commercial and private property in the town of Hempstead, having to do with insurance and so forth and so on. So that's something that I think we would have to look into.
I'll certainly be happy to.
why don't we just address it now? Commissioner Rothschild, if you come forward, or Mr. Schwartz, either, both. The issue is essentially the permissibility of unregistered vehicles on commercial property.
Is there any way to be dealer plates on these cars?
Yes.
No, but the question was, is it permissible on its face?
No, you're not allowed to have unregistered vehicles.
Even if they're just awaiting it there?
Not unregistered, no.
Not on the exterior portion, we could seek a special exception of the BZA for the storage of unregistered automobiles.
Is it considered storage, Mr. Schwartz, if they're there awaiting repair as opposed to extended periods of time?
Well, extended periods of time or extended periods of time, the limitation would be 24 hours, but I don't think you'd be responsible for turning over 24 hours.
Yeah, it depends on the nature of the repairs that need to be done. But my client did just indicate to me if it's acceptable to the board, they'll have the other things on. So I guess they're considered any purchases then, I guess any car that would have a dealer plate registered at to an individual owner, but it has a status as registered when it's under the umbrella of the dealership. So
Can I?
No, Mr. Everton, just finish up first. Did
I
you
was
just
saying,
finish?
as long as it has a plate on it, I believe it's certainly deemed registered because it's able to be operated on the road. And we've all seen this if you go for a test drive of a vehicle, whether new or used.
But what we're talking about is the town code.
No, I understand.
Commissioner Rockamp, is that?
It's still not registered, they would either inside or for the BZA.
Okay, that's essentially your remedy, is that?
Can I ask a question?
It actually is considered, if they're not roadworthy, if they are in disrepair, the wheels are missing or whatever, they are by definition considered to be junk vehicles. So if they're in that much disrepair, that they are not roadworthy, requires a flat or whatever, it doesn't matter whether there's a plate on them or not.
Can I make a suggestion that maybe the town attorney should sit down with all parties and see if this can be worked out? Because it sounds to me like we're putting this applicant in a catch-22. Basically, they're operating a business where they buy motor vehicles and some of them need repair. And I think in the spirit of the law, the fact that they're not registered, but they're in the process of being repaired and sold, shouldn't be an impediment to this guy running his business.
Well, I think the code is the code regardless of the spirit, but I think if there is relief relative through the BZA that needs to be pursued. So what I think we should do, Mr. Aberson, is have the town attorney's office and the building department meet with you and your client to determine exactly what relief you need so that things are done in accordance with the code to protect the neighboring residents.
That would be fine, Mr. Supervisor. As I indicated earlier during my remarks, we have to go to the Board of Appeals for other relief anyway. So if there's an additional application that needs to be filed for a special exception regarding the unregistered.
I think at this point, what you need to do is fine-tune it down to what relief you actually need to make sure that you
Well, absolutely, Mr. Supervisor, we'll do that. Clearly, we don't want to go through the necessary processes and find out afterwards that we need something else that we didn't apply.
Commissioner Rockamp, I'll leave that to you to set that meeting up. Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner.
Last item on there, you have that area on the corner, which seems to be pretty much about the only area there is to beautify this property where your sign is, at the very corner where there's a lump of concrete, a block of concrete, a bunch of chipped stones, the asphalt is all in disrepair. I didn't see any landscape plan, so I'm assuming that that corner could be expanded to that V on the corner at least, because it doesn't look like there's much other room there that could be improved on this property.
You can have something designed for submission to the town board regarding the landscape. And as you can see, there's really not a lot of area on the site for landscaping at all. This was a site that was developed in 1961 when things were a little bit different than they are today in this regard. So I'll speak with my client and we'll formulate something and submit it for the board's review.
Any other questions from members of the board? Okay, Mr. Everton, you may proceed.
Mr. Nelson, please offer your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Barry Nelson, 220 Pettit Avenue, Belmont, New York, 11710.
Good morning, Mr. Nelson.
Good morning, thank you. I was handed a packet of photographs, I'm sure the board has their own. These were taken by myself on February 6, 2017. I'm also handing, there's 29 photographs inclusive of the Nassau County land and tax map highlighting the subject property. I'm going to hand in, I'm handing in the original or the old Nassau County Department of Assessment tax record for the subject Clinton Street, section 33, block 368, and includes tax lots 20 through 24. It's a corner parcel that was originally developed in the 1960s, early 1960s, with a service station, gasoline and service. The building is just under 1,500 square feet. The site is approximately 8,803 square feet. It is a corner parcel. Hempstead Turnpike is the main arterial road east and west. Traffic lights at the corner of Remsen Street, just to the west, and Grand Street to the east. There's no permitted parking on the north side of Hempstead Turnpike at this location, 2 lanes east and west. The site is entirely within the HTE HB overlay district, the business zone. What's before the board is for a special exception for the auto repairs at that location. The building has been 1961 two-bay service station. The uses found in the immediate vicinity, as I indicated, the subject property entirely within that HTE HB overlay business X zone. The property entirely in that zone has residential C zoning to the north, one-family houses on Clinton Street, Remsen Street, Grand Avenue, Cape Cod, built in the 1940s and the 1950s. Hempstead Turnpike has uses that are compatible to the auto repair. Just to the east, outside the 200 and 300 foot zone, you have auto zone, auto parts, an auto repair facility, Avis Lube at the northeast corner of Grand Avenue and Hempstead Turnpike. Mixed uses, apartments over retail in the subject block. Just to the immediate east of the subject parcel is a auto-related use, auto sound and window tinting. I'm not sure how long window tinting is going to last at that location with the changing of the current laws. To the west is a soda beverage opposite the subject property and multifamily dwelling, 4 units at the northeast corner of Remsen Street and Hempstead Turnpike. Those uses would be similar to on the south side of Hempstead Turnpike: auto parts, auto sales, used cars, auto repairs, auto collision, and a taxi depot at the southeast corner of Evans Avenue and Hempstead Turnpike. This use that's being looked to maintain on the subject property as a special exception has been approved previously at the site with gasoline. Gasoline will be removed. The site now has a remediation on the property at the westerly side along the east side of Clinton Street, and that area is approximately 30 by 40. It's enclosed with fencing, and there are some trailers and remediation equipment on the site. The use is commonly found along Hempstead Turnpike. It's been at this location for over 55 years. It was formally approved. The gasoline has been removed, and I believe is a reasonable request considering the overall size of the property of about 8,800 square feet. The other permitted uses that may lend itself for a development at that location would require substantially the demolition of the existing improvements on the site at a substantial cost. Nevertheless, typically at corner locations you find 7-Elevens or Dunkin' Donut type facilities which you have in the area. Otherwise, maintaining this use at that location is reasonable. The site now currently has real estate taxes of approximately $31,500, which would probably go away on a redevelopment. That's approximately $20 a square foot, and it's substantial for the location. Nevertheless, it's typical of auto repair facilities. You have auto collision. There's no intention of operating an auto collision shop at that location. You have auto repairs and auto parts. The residences were built at approximately the same time, maybe a little earlier at that location on Clinton Street and Grand Avenue. I looked at home sales in the area. Generally, they are between $300,000 and $450,000. The owner to the north has been there for many, many years, adjacent to the repair shop, the auto gas station. The applicant did put a new fence along the northerly property line. I believe this case comes before the board for a special exception, meets the criteria for the special exception, and is a reasonable request before this board.
Are there any questions for Ms. Nelson? Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Just in quick summation, Mr. Supervisor, I think most of the issues listed in the inspection report, the building requirement, will be addressed as we go through the rest of the process. Any housekeeping issues that we were made aware of as a result of the inspection, we're already remedied or will be remedied shortly. As far as issues regarding filing of permits, etc., we did file for a lot of these permits already. Of course, as the board is aware, the Board of Appeals would not process the variance applications until such time as this board affirmatively considers the application for the special exception. So we would respectfully request that after deliberation, the board approve the application for the auto repair shop installation.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Robert Diaz?
Yes.
He says he's the operator.
Oh, okay. If he doesn't need to speak, that's fine. Okay. Then I believe we only have one resident who's signed in. So thank you very much, Ms. Adams. You can stand up. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Carriello? Good morning.
Good morning.
Please have a seat.
Thank you. I just have a couple of...
We just have your name and address for the record.
Okay. It's Mary Ann Carriello, and it's 11 Grand Street, not Avenue.
Got it. No. That's okay. Could you just pull the microphone a little closer to you?
I'm sure.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, that's great.
Okay, because it was difficult to hear in the back.
Yeah, better now.
I have a number of concerns. One about the cars that don't have license plates that are around from time to time, less so recently than before. On the street, I'm also concerned about something that's already been mentioned, and that's the way the property looks, which is fairly horrible. And even though it's on Hempstead Turnpike, that doesn't mean it has to be ugly, or the snow doesn't have to be shoveled and things like that. So as a resident in the area, I'm concerned about what things are going to look like. I'm also concerned, and maybe I am incorrect, but I had understood that the gas tanks needed to be removed. The gas, I guess, has been removed, but the tanks themselves, I don't believe have been. You know, maybe I am wrong in that, but I don't think so. So that is a concern, and I know that people who want to use the property, I don't think are the owners of the property, so they are renting from someone else. But there is an issue with the DEC. Eventually, the plume has to be dug up across the turnpike going down to Honeywell Avenue. So there seems to be a lot of work that is required on that property and to make it safe for the neighborhood. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Carriello. Appreciate your concern.
Mr. Avertine, you indicated that the tanks have been removed, correct?
I can't verify it personally, but the DEC stated that they were removed in 2014, that they retained a contractor for that purpose, and that the tanks were removed.
But the environmental issue is being addressed.
Absolutely. What's going on presently is that actually since the DEC became involved, there was soils were removed at the same time the tanks were removed. There was extensive soil removal and remediation. And presently what they are doing is they did two types of remediation. One was with respect to the soil, One was with respect to groundwater. And with respect to the groundwater, they did whatever processes they've done, and now they are in the process of monitoring the groundwater, taking samples and testing it to determine whether the measures that they've taken to date have been sufficient to
So they put groundwater monitoring wells in?
Yes.
Okay, and they're continuing to monitor it, and there is no more petroleum sales other than, like you said, the oil change, there's no gasoline being sold, there's no more gasoline being put into tanks.
That's correct, and the tanks have been removed.
Do you have written notifications, everything from the DEC?
It says that they prepared a document called a fact sheet regarding this premises. It's attached to the environmental assessment form that I filed with.
But that is from the DEC?
It is from the DEC. It is from someone named Christy Salafrio, S-A-L-A.
If you could maybe just point out the pertinent lines or line of lines in that relative to the tanks to Ms. Carriello, so she sees it for her own eyes.
Give her a copy of the
Then that would be
document.
fine. Okay.
And of course, they're continuing to work on it, they've been working on it for a few years.
It's a lengthy process.
What I read online was that it would continue for quite a while.
It's a lengthy process. So it's not
And Mr. Supervisor, I would also be happy to introduce the neighbor to my client, so that if she has a question or a
That'd be
concern
great.
or a problem, he's a very receptive to his neighbors
Fine.
and very interested in what they have to say and wants to run a shop that everybody can do.
Wants to be a good meeting.
Absolutely.
That's always what we look for.
But that's what we all want.
Okay, thanks, Mr.
I
Carriello.
will introduce them at the conclusion of the hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on this matter before the town board? There being none, I'll accept the motion, please.
I move that the public hearing be closed and that the board reserve decision.
I second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
It'll be in the next thing, the administrative calendar.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Kingsbury.
Yeah, that's administrative calendar.
On the decision calendar.
On the decision calendar, Supervisor, I have two items. First item, proposed amendment of Article 31 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead, insofar as to create a new section 311.1 thereof in relations to special regulations pertaining to corner residential lots in Town of Hempstead.
Okay, is there a motion, please?
I have a motion, Mr. Supervisor. Before I make that motion, I just want to thank you for your support of this legislation that is going to make such a huge difference in the residents that deal with corner properties in the Elkhorn and Levittown. So I move this amendment in its entirety. Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Kingsbury.
Next item.
And the second decision, application of 135 Realty Corp. for a variance from provisions of GSS ordinance to maintain existing service station with automobile repair garage, remove and replace fuel dispensers, install 2 canopies with columns and footings, install concrete islands, and operate a snack shop for the sale of petroleum and non-petroleum products, and operate self-service in Belmore.
Do we have a motion, please?
I move this application to be approved.
Good. Moved and seconded. Please call roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Kingsbury.
Madam Clerk, administrative calendar, please.
Supervisor, on the administrative calendar, I have items 1 through 32. I also have a resolution that is of an urgent nature to be added to the calendar. The resolution is resolution amending Nassau Event Center LLC Phase 1 site plan, previously approved by Resolution 1147-2015, affecting real property in Uniondale, to add clarity regarding the placement, height, dimensions, and design of signage. This will be item 33 on administrative calendar.
Okay. Do any council members wish to sever any of the items on the administrative calendar? Anyone else, Mr. Hughes?
I would like to approve the administrative calendar, items 1
Second.
Okay. We do have a couple of folks who have signed in relative to the administrative calendar. And we'll begin with Mary Ellen Craig. Right. Good morning, Ms. Craig.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Glad to hear it. Mary Ellen Cray, 436 Locust Avenue in Uniondale. On item number 6, about the bids for charter buses, Department of Senior Enrichment.
Yeah.
One of the things I have noted is that the bus drivers come early and the people in the classes are almost forced to leave the class before the program is ended. And whatever can be done to eliminate that would be appreciated. It's a shame for people to have to rush out of the class before it's completed.
Thank you, Ms. Craig.
On that thing about the signage in Uniondale, what was the location for that, please?
Well, it's the Nassau Event Center. It will be in the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum.
Nassau Veterans Memorial, right?
That's what I said.
Okay, and there is one other.
Thank you. Diane Madden.
I am Madden, Hempstead, New York. Item number 7, I'd like to know if any changes have been made in relation to the animal shelter in particular, promotions, transfers.
Well, item 7 has to do with the buses for the Parks Department. So I'm referring to another item.
Okay. Well, whichever one would speak to the hiring and firing and promotions. Number 26.
Mr. Town Attorney, can you address that, please?
I don't have, the personnel calendar was published online. Is Billy Salmon here?
Ms. Barron, you want to compose?
Point supervisor, members of the town board. There's nothing on today's personnel calendar regarding the applicant.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other members of? Okay, Mr. Procacci on the administrative calendar. Name and address for the record.
Bill Procacci, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square. Yeah, I just wanted a full clarification of that number 33 item as to what the changes are going to be.
33, oh, okay.
The one that's added, that's what I did.
We do have, to address that, we do have representatives from the Nassau Event Center and their associates. Mr. Robinson here? Okay. Could you come up and state your name and address for the record and give us a synopsis of exactly what this entails?
Yes, Chris Robinson, President RMS Engineering, 355 New York Avenue, Huntington, New York. The amendment before you is to position the 3 pylon signs which were indicated on the approved conceptual master plan and to provide the detail and clarity as to what those signs would be. The existing sign on Hempstead Turnpike was taken down, it's being replaced by a sign, and there will be 2 additional signs added, one on Earl Ovington and one on Charles Lindbergh Boulevard.
Is that going to include the Welcome Back Islander sign?
Well, hopefully.
Any other?
So this only covers signs at all, no buildings or anything?
Signs.
Just signs. Okay.
Purely signage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Are there any other residents who wish to speak with the administrative calendar? Not call roll, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
I move the administrative calendar. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Okay, as indicated, the town board will remain to hear miscellaneous comments and concerns. We will begin with Mary Ellen Craig.
Mary Ellen Craig, 436 Locust Avenue in Bloomingdale. Information on the RFP, how is that coming along for the fire protection district, please?
It's just about to be ready to be sent out within the next 2 weeks.
Now, sent out means put,
Well, we're gonna publish it, but we're also gonna notify the Bloomingdale Fire Department and Westbury Fire Department and fire departments in the area.
so you expect this week, next week?
I would say within the next 2 weeks.
So before the next board meeting?
I believe so.
Thank you. I spoke to you the other day, this is a little show and tell, about the roadway on the corner of Henry Street and Emerson Place. And so I have brought you several pieces of debris from that. I stopped the car to pick out a piece that was larger than this. It was a large piece and it was this thick. It was too much for me to pick up and carry. But a piece like that, which was down the street about 50 feet from the spots that I've told you about, which are now dirt, this really needs to be repaired and moved up to the front of the Master's calendar for the roadways, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record.
Seal the fan. That's okay. Diane Madden?
I wanted to mention that I have still not gotten a response from that FOIL, Mr. Roth. You had told me Mr. Amarini would take care of that, and I have not heard.
I will check with him, he's not here today, but I will check.
Okay. Also, just to make everyone aware, I'm not sure what information is getting back to you, but during that blizzard that we had, there were only 2 employees left at the 3 p.m. at the animal shelter. $3 million in a budget, and yet the director was nowhere to be found. And the animals actually still need care at 3 p.m. From closing. Years ago, they used to use the town facilities to get staff back and forth, but I guess that is important now because only 2 people were at that animal shelter during that blizzard. Also, there was a house fire several weeks ago where the animals died from smoke inhalation, and when they were brought to the animal shelter at about 7 p.m., they were advised by a supervisor that they were to be buried in a mound of snow until the next morning when someone could arrive, because there were no keys to the freezer, yet many of your staff live within miles of the animal shelter. Also, information is disseminated constantly from Mr. Pastore that the shelter's at a disadvantage because you're a municipality and have to take in all animals. That's a blatant lie. The animal shelter is only obligated to take in stray animals, never owner-turning animals. And as far as the euthanasia numbers, those numbers have only gone down for one reason, because you've raised the euthanasia fees by 850%. I'm not quite sure why on this calendar today, there continue to be raises and promotions and increases when Supervisor Santino asks department heads for layoff lists. How is it possible that you're asking for job layoff numbers, names and numbers, when you continue to give raises and promotions to six-figure salaries? I think that is the layer that you need to start cutting back on, rather than the part-time, the $10 an hour people that are the ones doing all of the work across the town. I also wanted to mention and actually ask how many hours the $109,000 alleged behaviorist is contributing to the shelter now. I noticed on Saturday, although there was a volunteer event, there was no behaviorist, which normally the two go hand in hand. You have the behaviorist meeting volunteers and the training begins. It's long overdue that those animals start getting out and the staff actually stop training themselves and get trained properly. So any idea how many hours that person will be working, and if that will include Saturdays?
Mr. Wright? You want to know how many hours she will be working? Is that what you're asking? I'll have to look at the contract and see what the requirements are. I don't have the information right now.
Because that's the contract that is now.
35 hours a week.
And will that include Saturdays?
Well, I would guess it's 35 hours a week as needed.
So who makes those determinations?
As needed basis would probably mean the administration of the animal shelter.
Right, so there was no one there on Saturday. Okay, thank you for that. Also in regards to the operational and financial audit coming your way at the animal shelter, what is really ironic is that Supervisor Santino tells everyone how great the shelter is, and he's got his front line of volunteers saying how wonderful things are. What's the problem? Why are you spending more tax money to hire an outside agency to keep an audit from happening? I'm not concerned. I know the audit will happen. I know operations will be looked into and finances. And it probably won't be until your director is brought out of the animal shelter and escorted out in the same way that happened at Smithtown recently. But what's the issue? Why did you hire an outside firm for this audit? You didn't with the New York State audit.
It's purely a legal issue, and as such, I can't comment.
Okay, so it's a legal issue why you hired an outside attorney.
The entire process is in litigation.
Okay. Oh, I see. So because of the two lawsuits, you hired the same firm to keep the audit out?
We have no comment on that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. You answered. Thank you.
William McCabe.
William McCabe, Post Office Box 334, New Hyde Park, New York, 11040. The other day, Mr. Ra, you contacted a number of plaintiffs in regards to the free compressed air law. A date was not given of when you wish to meet. However, a date was given today of when you are adjourning the hearing until. Will you be contacting those same plaintiffs again before that March 21st date with a plan of action and with something to do and giving us a date of when we can speak with you?
As I told, I believe I spoke with you. Did I speak with you?
You spoke with my father.
As I told your dad and everybody else I spoke to, that once we got through today's town board meeting, I would be reaching out to set up an appointment.
Okay, yeah, you never indicated in those conversations that you were going to put a specific date of when that was going to be adjourned to. So, that's only 2 weeks for you to contact all of us, and I hope that that does happen.
I also indicated to everyone I spoke to that the matter was being adjourned for 2 weeks. But be that as it may, yes, the short answer is we're going to get together.
Okay, no problem. I hope to hear from you very soon. Thank you.
Yeah, Phyllis McCarthy.
the contracts for Christy Fenty and Kim Strong, they were supposed to be part of the resolutions when they were proposed, you know, state law. Now I understand that you hired these people already. When I did FOIL them for formality's sake, but you were supposed to put them on the town resolutions. When will I get that FOIL request?
Mr. Rob?
Get it within the time allotted. I don't know when you sent in your full request, but you'll get it you'll get it shortly.
State law is supposed to be a reasonable time before the meeting. How can you talk about something if you don't have the contract in front of you? How could you?
Well, it was on the calendar, I think, 2 weeks ago.
No, it's on the calendar.
No, it's on this calendar.
What's on the calendar and the details is what the 2012 law required you to do, which you haven't been doing. You've been violating the law. You know, when you give a resolution and it says something, the details are supposed to be provided within reason as to what that's about. Because how can you speak about something when you just speak in general terms? When you talk about a cost for what? You have to look at a contract in order to determine if you want to speak intelligibly about something. So anyway, I haven't received the contracts yet. What's interesting about the FOIL request is you brought up the fact that there are no security procedures for handling the security cameras. I haven't even gotten the one-sentence rejection saying that there are no records responsive to my requests. Why can't I get a one-sentence rejection responsive to my FOIL request? Why is that a high hurdle? You don't have to make any copies of anything. It takes about 30 seconds to type.
I'll look into why you haven't got a response.
Okay. I got my 4th mailing of the year. You're sending out postcards every time it snows. I wish you'd inform Newsday and to adjust their savings on snow plow removal when you take into account the cost of these mailings. If you're going to say you save tens of thousands of dollars on overtime because of what you do, the way you work your personnel, and then you're spending about $35,000 to $50,000 on mailing, why do you tell them? Because Newsday refuses to believe anything I say. This is cost. This is real cost to the taxpayer, and it's very discretionary, and you haven't cut back anything. And I made a mistake. Last year, when I said it was 28 mailings, I counted. You're upwards of 30 mailings for last year. So you're not really saving much money. I mean, that's really discretionary. You don't need 30 mailings in 1 year. We talk about financial reports, saving money. I think about my mailings, 2010, great budget, 2011, great budget, financial, freezing taxes, 2012, 2013, 2014, everything's good, the finances were good. Yet, for some reason, year after year, we keep on reporting the great fiscal responsibility, lowest cost possible, highest quality, yet we've been downgraded 3 notches in the last 3 years or so. You're really lying to taxpayers when you're doing this. You're lying to taxpayers. It's not right. You shouldn't be spending their money just to advertise, to pay for your campaign. It's wrong. It's wrong. Maybe it's legally right, but it's wrong. Because it's all campaign issue, and nobody has the guts to say it around here.
Dave Hanson? Dave Hanson. Well, Mr. Hanson, thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen.